All right, I guess I'll just start with a little introduction. My name is Joe, and then I talk about, AR quite a bit actually, the metaverse, Web3, and just where this is all going and what we're trying to expect uh, from different perspectives. I I think the AR stuff that we're going to talk about with you guys today is going to be really cool, and most people hear this on a recorded session later, but it's definitely applicable to almost everybody that's in here. So I don't know if you've heard of some of the different there's like the spheroid universe and over the reality. There's so many of these different augmented reality platforms out there, but they all required like downloading the app and doing all these different crazy things. And your guys is much more seamless. Do you want to go ahead and just give us an introduction and kind of talk about what you're doing and where you're going?
Sure. Thanks so much, Joe. So yeah, this is Brian. Uh, Brian Lee. I'm one of the co-founders of Pop-ins, along with Christina Callio, who's here also. Yeah, so we're experimenting and having a blast with this, and I really want to hear from people, in the audience or contact us later about your thoughts because no one knows exactly what the world's going to look like. So we're experimenting and learning along with everyone else. To kind of give you a quick overview of what we do, we create 3D photorealistic AR experiences. The underlying technology is called volumetric video. So we can talk about that later, but it's basically a bunch of cameras. Imagine green screen on steroids. And through the magic of software, we can turn an experience into kind of a video game character, a 3D performance. And as you said, there are technologies out there. You can create an app and have downloads and all kinds of stuff. Our focus has been on making this available to anyone, anywhere. So we have a streamable way of getting this out to you. And it's a web app, so you don't have to download anything. It just works when you click a button. And we think that's really cool.
I like that, and I've used it. I went to the poppins.io site, and then there's a QR code right there. And I just scanned the QR code, followed the link, and I saw the sassy black wild animation. It was really cool. I could put it right on my desk. And then there's also
Yeah.
quite a few other options in there as well. I saw.
Yeah, we've got I think about 15 or so that are sitting there that anyone can use in any way. So, and we've got a lot more that we're working on. That's just a good sample of what we got. And yeah, Sassy was, of course, I mean, she's amazing and been a delight to work with through all this stuff. So it's great. And I know a lot of this is to focus on NFTs. So if you want, we can talk about what Sassy did as kind of a case study.
Sure, go ahead.
Um, yeah. So, so Sassy came in. She recorded actually several songs. We've only dropped one so far. And what she wanted to do was make these available as NFTs for fans, super fans. So she set up a site on Aptiva. That is something she manages. The NFT that would exist in your wallet is, in this case, it's an MP4. It's just a very short segment that we shot of her in AR at Gasworks Park in Seattle. Just a little bitty segment. But what the real magic is it gives you a unique version of the AR if you purchase the NFT. And by unique, I mean that one of the things that we can do, in addition to giving you just the AR, is we can put data over it. So imagine MTV, song, artist, album, all that appears in the bottom left. We do that in AR, but one of the things we do, which we think is cool in terms of utility, is we add the Twitter photo and Twitter handle for the NFT owner. So no matter who in the world uses it, it shows up as that whoever you are the owner of that NFT. So if you take your own photos, because one of the great things about this beyond augmented reality is mixed reality. So you mentioned that you put Sassy on your desk. You could put Sassy by your cat. You could put Sassy. A friend could jump into frame with Sassy. They could sing along. They could perform. They could dance. You can take pictures or videos of that, and when you do, that ownership is credited. That's showing up in all those photos. So we're hoping that that adds value, utility to the NFT owner.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool interactive fan experience and a way for someone to interact, with her content as well. I like that.
Yeah, we that's what we're hoping. We just want to make the artists the stars and give them another way to shine. So tech is cool if you're a tech head, but really most people just want to see, how do I get closer to people like Sassy? How do I get to experience them in my living room in a way that I wouldn't otherwise get to do? Or how do I show my support for Sassy by being the NFT owner?
No, that's a great concept. Because there are a lot of people that want to help support, their favorite artists, whatever platform, music or art or whatever that happens. Because I noticed you go beyond just music. Isn't there a comedian in there as well and some other stuff?
Yeah, we've experimented with a lot of things, and again, experimentation is going to be the theme of this whole discussion. And I'll say it again: we invite anyone here who's like got an idea, chime in, because no one knows what the future is going to hold. So we're just trying to learn. But yeah, to answer your question, we've done stand up as well. There's a performance that you can see from a Northwest art comedian by the name of Gabriel Rutledge, hilarious guy. He did multiple sets. We've dropped one so far. We've done dance performances, kind of characters. We created some over the top characters that are kind of fun to play around with. So we're just experimenting to see what's going on.
No, that's fun. I see some of the characters. You have like a Santa Claus and some dancers and stuff. Those are cool. And the link
Yeah,
the link is just popins.io and they're all right there. And it was really easy
there.
to check those out.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad it was easy.
Because some of these they do take, you have to get into the download an app and then figure out how to use it and everything. So I think that you're hitting a good point there because a lot of people want to see the cool technology. They just don't want to learn how to use it. They want it as
Hmm.
simple as possible to get in there.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And one of the cool things, so back to NFTs, and we'll keep using Sassy as the example. She decided that we would produce 22 of them. And as I said, that branding with the NFT owner is important. So we can create 22 individual, unique versions of the same performance. And for each one, we can put the unique NFT owner. So you mentioned our homepage. If you go to the tab in our page that says NFTs, you can then see all the ones that we've produced. And for someone like Sassy, if you click on her, you can see that there are 22 available. And some of them have been purchased, some of them are still available. But for each one, the performance is exactly the same, but that ownership attribution is different. So if you look at number 6 or number 9 or whatever, you're going to see they're owned by different people. And if those people choose to sell those NFTs, we update it and change it to the new owner. So again, we're hoping it creates value and we're hoping it creates long-term value for the owner, that if they choose to sell, they can do so in an economically advantageous way.
Well, you're also helping to build a community now because these people can see each other and have Twitter links with each other, and they obviously have a common interest. So, that's a
Yeah, I imagine fun things like contests, like the owners, who can get the best social media post that pops up, or the best TikTok video, right? Because you can take these things and just create your own performance. Artists who are at the cutting edge, like Sassy, are just very happy to let their fans play around with it. So imagine the fan creates this cool music video, basically, of Sassy's performance, placing her in interesting locations, making her giant, putting her in the refrigerator. I mean, people smarter than I am will figure it out, but they have fun doing that. And then they post it on TikTok. and the winner for whoever gets the most likes for a week. Sassy might choose to give them some special outreach or something. I think, like you said, it's another way to help drive community, we hope.
Well, and there's a lot of creativity in that community too. So, like you say, you're branching out to your community to come up with stuff that you may not have come up with in house.
That's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping. We think that once this starts to really catch on and there's a flywheel, you get that reinforcement, right? You get, just like the artist has fun, and then the artist sees what their fans do, and they have more fun, and that pushes the artist farther. Could be just a blast.
No, I agree. I like it. It adds, everyone talks about trying to add utility to an NFT. This is actually adding, utility to the NFT in a fun way, building a community. That's what people want to see, I think. So let's step back just a second and let's talk about this volumetric video, the process, and then Formavision now, I guess, is their name. But, and, you know, that process, I'll leave it to you, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So, as I said, the concept of volumetric video is that you're filmed in from a variety of cameras, and they can pull you back together as a 3D asset. Um, and we're talking about AR now, but in theory, these assets can go into a variety of experiences. We can talk about other metaverse destinations in a minute. With volumetric video, right now there are probably 100 studios around the world. I'm going to say plus or minus. There also aren't industry standards, so everyone does it a little bit differently. Some people, we use 50 some odd cameras. Some people use 20. Some people use 120. Some people create gigantic files that have to be downloaded. Formavision, our technical partner on this, really leads the world in terms of compression. And that's what allows us to stream these. That's what allows us not to have you download the content on your phone. Most people, if you dig into the experiences you were talking about with volumetric video, can only really do about a 10 to 20-second version because the files are just too big. For us, we're lucky with Formavision's technology. In theory, we could have something that's essentially infinite. And I'll talk about live versions of this a little bit later. This streaming thing really unlocks the door, we think, for us to be an asset for things like music, where you want to have the full performance, or things like comedy, where you want to have a full set versus just a 10-second version. So, yeah, you're filmed in front of a bunch of cameras. It goes off in the magic of the cloud, and some guys way smarter than I am turn it into these things. And you can see it from all angles. You can manipulate it. You can play with it the way you want.
Nice. So I guess I would ask, do you know where is it stored? Is it like an AWS thing or IPFS thing?
It's a content delivery network that could be stored in a variety of places. We are on AWS, but I think from a technical standpoint, once it's stored, you're probably available to store it in a variety of places.
Okay. And what?
It's really the proprietary turning it in, and then that compression technology that it runs through when it's going from its CDN out to the user.
And what kind of file size are we talking about here?
The files are gigantic. We record, but again, as a consumer, the compression changes all that. But we did the math the other day with that number of cameras we're doing. We're filming more footage than it per second than is filmed at the Super Bowl. And I'm talking at the Super Bowl, every high def camera that they're shooting at any one time. And of course, the broadcast from the Super Bowl, you're getting a single camera. You're getting only camera one, only camera seven, whatever. Here, you're getting a flavor of all the cameras. So it's really that the technical magic that we're able to harness is that compression technology, which is able to take all that and flow it through. And if you've played around, if you have a modest internet connection, it works okay. I've done it over LTE, and it actually works pretty well. Certainly 5G is the best, or Wi-Fi, but it can even work over some lesser technology, lesser distribution capabilities. It's amazing.
I gotcha. Yeah, because some of these have really, uh, like the augmented reality platforms I was talking about before, they have really small sizes. So it's
Exactly.
hard to put anything of structure into these. And so here you are taking something that's like instead of 100 megabyte limit, you're talking much exponentially larger and doing something with it almost real time because when I have 5G where I'm at, but it popped up really quickly.
Yeah, and again, we're not also using your storage space on your phone. Those files you're talking about, you have to download to your phone. So you have to manage your storage and all that. Ours is a stream. Think of us as Spotify versus a library of music that you would have sitting on your phone.
No, yeah, that makes it a lot more seamless, I think.
Yeah.
So, and you were talking about some of the other scanners and stuff like that. So, were there other companies that you looked at that were close, or because I've seen some, and I'm not really too deep, but like MetaHero is probably one that I've heard of them, where they have the big sphere full of cameras. It looks similar, but I think they just do still objects, and you guys are doing like full videos, right?
Well, there are a lot of fantastic studios out there. I mean, we've been working with Formavision actually for years, kind of doing early R&D with them around how, because they're Seattle based, we're Seattle based, they're friends, so we've been following them for a while. Fortunately, again, for us, their differentiator is on the compression technology, which allows us to stream. We're Netflix. Instead of you having to download a whole library of movies on your device, you can just plug in, you get it, you see it whenever you want. And the other studios are fantastic. Some of them do fantastic quality, so we're not saying anything negative about them. But as far as we know, most of them don't allow that kind of streaming, which we think really gives this thing scale and lets anyone in the world enjoy it anytime in a very easy way.
Awesome. Yeah, I wasn't trying to get you to dish dirt on anybody. You made the point I was trying to make was that this seems like it's more advanced than some, maybe not more advanced is the word, but it's on a route that's very applicable to AR with just being able to stream it right there and look without having to download or upload, because some of those other ones can be very cumbersome. I see Annie has a hand up. Do you want to you have a question real quick you want to add in?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, nice to meet everyone. I just have a quick question. So you mentioned streaming. How does that work in emerging markets? And do you have any users in emerging markets? Because data is quite expensive and incomes are different, all that. So what has the experience been outside the US?
Thank you for the question. That's a great one. Um, in a lot of ways, eh, I guess we think of it a little bit differently, and that's not to pivot the question away from the one you've asked. We make this available to anyone who can get to it. I can't change the technological infrastructure of a developing country. I hope it works. I don't know if you were on when I was saying um, here for me in the U.S., I've been able to use this on LTE, which for the U.S. is a sub prime standard. But to your point, that may be the prime standard or even beyond the prime standard in developing countries. Um, we make it available. We hope they can get to it. But I can't control again, the technological infrastructure around the world. I don't know if I answered your question well enough, but that's about as well as I can do it.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, right now, also, we don't do anything in terms of trying to meter or regulate the content based on
Hmm.
rights or
Okay.
rights in certain countries. We don't get into a lot of the music issues. We're working with artists like Sassy who own their content and who want to make it available in this format to anyone in the world
I
because,
see. Got it.
yeah.
That makes
Down the
sense.
road, we could build out a platform that has you sign in as a user and checks your location and everything. Right now, we're
Mhm.
just making everything broadly available.
Makes sense. Thank you.
So speaking of the artists and the now this sounds like it may be, and without trying to prompt you to give me a price, it sounds expensive to get all these cameras and set up someone and record these videos, take that, weave it, stitch it together, compress it. I mean, there's a few moving parts there. So where I guess we're moving toward like maybe the business model side. How are the
Yeah.
artists compensated? Like the royalties and stuff like that. You don't really have to give numbers, just more along the
Oh
whatever
no,
you want
no.
to give
Our
me.
numbers our numbers are going to be super easy. So that'll be that, and we're very transparent. So let me set a little context. You're exactly right that this is very expensive technology, initially in terms of infrastructure to build out a studio, then in terms of personnel to manage a studio, then in terms of storage, AWS, etc., ongoing software upgrades, all that kind of stuff. So I think if you went to other studios and said, "Hey, I want to make a music video of my song and I want to own it," they would say, "Sure, you'll need to write us a check for, I'm going to make up a number, $40,000, $20,000, maybe even over $100,000, depending on which studio it is." And in that case, the artist would own it. They might have to figure out their distribution after that, but at least they would own it. We've kind of taken a different and we hope a longer term view of this. And we've said for the artist, it costs you nothing. You just come in and film with us. You, the artist, own your master. We're not trying to get in the business of blocking people in their ownership. So you own the master. And then let's sit down together and figure out how to monetize this because it's all experimental. And whatever we figure out together, we'll just keep things simple and we'll split it 50-50.
Okay.
So incredibly simple. We hope that simplicity allows for experimentation. We want to proliferate the technology and we want to proliferate this kind of experience for consumers. So we see that as a long-term approach, and that's our goal. And we know artists need and deserve to be rewarded, so we want to create scenarios where they can do that.
That sounds awesome. So I'm not a numbers guy in the music industry, but from the way I hear it or the way I understand it, in the Web 2 regular music world, usually artists aren't quite as compensated as 50% of what they do. So that seems like it's a very fair compensation almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm not going to be the expert, and I think there are almost an infinite number of scenarios. If you sign a deal with a label and a label bears all the cost of producing your album, they're usually going to want to recoup it and do a bunch of things. That's not something we're trying to do. Um, so the other stuff is what it is. We just want to make sure everyone has a good chance to experiment with us.
That's awesome. I'm going to open it up for some questions if you don't mind. We're getting almost to the half-hour point, uh, and then we'll see how that goes. Does anyone have anything they want to add? Annie, go ahead again.
Sorry, it's me again. I love the sound of
No,
your
go ahead.
project, and I love the sound of your project. Anyway, just curious about what things holds for you in terms of your roadmap and where you're looking to go and the sort of things that you guys are looking to do.
Oh, thank you for that question. Well, our next big thing on our roadmap, as far as pop-ins, is to do this live. Right now, all of our performances are created on demand. An artist comes into the studio, they perform, takes a few hours to get the take right and everything. Then we spend a month or two doing our magic box stuff and turning it into the content you can enjoy. We are pretty far along with, and actually we're there with a version of this that's live. And what that means is that the performer, same thing, you can use your phone, or in that case, you can also use a few of the headsets we're working with, Quest 2 being probably the most prevalent. And you can actually watch while the performance is happening, but you can talk to the artist. You can, they might perform a song, they might then talk about the song, and they might open it up for questions. I kind of personally, I think of this as the living room concert, the digital
Mhm.
living room concert of the future. You can have a few people, it can be intimate. You can do the same thing where the artist might invite you, hey, come over and take a picture with me. So you create the mixed reality scenario of going over and standing next to the artist and clicking a photo on your phone. So we think live because, we love on demand music, and we love live music even a little bit more. So our roadmap is trying to figure out the technical challenges and make live available to everyone.
Will holograms be included?
It would be the same kind of hologram experience that we're talking about. Now, it would be
Nice.
ethereal, and that it wouldn't live beyond, it would be live. So once it's done, it's done.
Okay.
There are ways to record it, but the live stuff is really cool. But that's the next big thing on our roadmap.
Wow,
Thank you.
that's really really cool. Altered, you got your hand up?
Yeah, hey, what's up, man?
What's up?
I, I just tried it out real quick. I went to the Poppins IO. It was pretty cool. I
Thanks.
tried out it was like the Nun, and I got a question. I'm sorry if it's kind of a weird question. Um, is your platform going to allow adult content?
Um, I mean, technically, there's no barrier to that. It's not necessarily what we want to do. It's just not our brand, the same way Netflix doesn't, have adult content, but there are lots of other places you can find it. So the Poppins brand is probably never going to be in the adult content space. Now, there are always definitions about how mature, what do you mean by adult, but
Yeah,
um,
it's just I was just at a tech conference, and they're going over the numbers, and it's one of those things like the elephant in the room, where like everyone knows that like the large majority of these headsets and things like that, like just like the VCR, like what's actually selling these things. But I very much see that there's not one company that'll dare attach their name to that. Just because you got an onslaught of stuff, you got a
yeah,
lot more to deal with once you tackle that. But at the same time, it was like the tech summit basically for like Walmart and all their collaborations, and even in there, like it's like they all know, like Meta knows, and like they're gonna try and figure out how it happens. But it's like I just in opening the app for just a second. Um, and just seeing all the Halloween costumes and all that stuff, I was just a little curious. So
yeah.
yeah, sorry. Like I said, kind of a weird question.
No, I think you nailed all the differences between the technology, the business model, and the brand at that point. Can the technology do that stuff? Sure. Um, is our brand the right brand to do it? No. But are there other brands that might want to do it? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's a fair question. There's a lot of people that look at that. I mean, there's money everywhere, right? Everyone's got different things. So yeah, that's a legitimate question, Altered. So I'm looking through your press releases, and it looks like you guys finished filming in March of a video. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Well, yeah, one of the ones that we're having fun figuring out what to do, because again, we're all experimenting, is I think everyone knows the song Baby Got Back from Sir Mix-a-Lot, because we all like big butts from time to time. Well, the song has now reached its 30th anniversary. He released that in 1992. And we had the pleasure of having Mix come into studio and film an AR version of that song with us. It's turned out great. We've also got a couple of other little takes on it that we haven't talked about here yet, but it's been a lot of fun. What we're doing with that one is we're looking at other potential business models, maybe a little bit as a stepsister to NFTs. So, one of the things that we talked about is being able to put the brands on the experience. I mean, the NFT owners. Well, what if we put Pepsi, or what if we put State Farm, or what if we put American Express? Does that create another way to drive value and money into the space? So we're looking at that opportunity to see if this is the right song to do that.
Yeah, that seems like the next logical step there with the whole allowing owners to have their representation. That doesn't mean that it just has to be individual owners. There could be a corporate owner in this as well.
True. And again, since we split all the money and we make those decisions together, we hope we're not being, kind of the greedy corporate people. We're just opening the door. And we talk to Mix and his management team every week, exploring opportunities. So we see it as just another way for artists to seek rewards.
No, that's great. Yeah, and it's an uncertain market. Nobody really knows where this is going to go. So that seems like a really strong business model, just to be adaptive, flexible, and see if everybody can benefit.
That's certainly our hope. And as I've said, probably half a dozen times now, we're experimenting. We don't know what we don't know. So we love discussions like this where people plant seeds and ideas. And feel free to reach out to us after this. I'm Brian with a Y at poppins.io, or poppinbry here on Twitter. My partner Christina Callio is Christina at poppins.io, or C Callio here on Twitter. Feel free to hit us up with ideas.
And I
I don't know
learned.
if Sassy's still on, but Sassy might have some things since we've been talking about her a lot.
I see she
Still
just put
on,
her
but
hand up
she
right there.
perfect. She might have some things to add.
Welcome, Sassy.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Brian. Hi, Christina. Hi, everyone. I'm just getting ready. I tend to have a lot of meetings and work on a lot of stuff, but you know, it was a really great experience working with Poppins, and they made it really simple and straightforward for me to do this. And they reached out to me, so just something to put out there about that. But I also put in the bird's nest a few of the tweets, like sharing if people want to find out about it in this space, they want to learn more about like my hologram. There's one about that, with that AR experience, and then there's another one that has like kind of a straightforward example as a tweet that you can check out. But the experience has been really good, and I just hope that we can continue to expand. And even at NFT Seattle, Christina set up a hologram photo booth, so like people could go and pose with it in real time and interact with it. And then there are a couple people like, wait, is that you? And I'm like, yes. And then some people took videos with the hologram and with me, so that was special too. So I think that's speaking to like the power of what they're creating. But also I love the fact that it's really also trying to empower musicians and comedians, who are like some of the lowest paid artists in general. um, so like trying to empower us with our craft and the things that we're doing and celebrate that live performance aspect, but without having to leave your home to some degree, which is, I think, is still a special thing.
That's awesome. Thank you. Because there's always two sides of the story. So it's good to hear the artist perspective and then the perspective of Poppins. So that's good that it seems like it's working well for both of you.
Oh yeah, they're really fun to work with. They're really helpful, and our meetings, they're just super open. It's one of the coolest collaborations I've had, because typically working in the music industry or in tech, people are like, yeah, that's cool, but and they're like, okay, cool, let's see if we can do it. That's like how most of our meetings end. Like, all right, sure, Sassy, like let's figure this out. And I think that's really empowering for an artist.
Amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, it's such an unknown road that we're traveling. It's good to see where people are taking it.
And for those of you who want, a few of Sassy's NFTs are still available. You can find her Aptiva page by going to our site, or I'm sure she can help direct you there from her site. One of the things she mentioned also, and I want to pause to make sure everybody got it, is how easy it is to share these. Again, they're all available at anyone. You don't have to download, but they're all shareable links. So you just click on the link. You can send it through any means that you want. You can send it through text, email, DMs to anyone you want, and poof, they can enjoy the experience as well. You also mentioned earlier, Joe, QR codes. So one of the things that we see down the road to make this really cool is any physical assets out in the world that are kind of aligned with the artist. Tickets, tchotchkes. Sassy in particular has been working with a coffee company out of Seattle and has come up with a customized coffee. You throw the QR code on it, and all someone has to do is scan it with their phone, and the performance starts. We see a lot of distribution possibilities that, again, maybe drive some revenue, and that revenue goes to the artist, split with us to the artist.
And I guess maybe you mentioned it before, but I didn't catch, and I haven't read through the NFT enough to look. Is there something beyond just the holder of the NFT and their, the ability to market themselves built into any of these, or a future plan for holders, stuff like that, beyond just what we've already talked about?
Well, you can do a lot of things, and I believe Sassy can jump in on this if she wants as well. The artist can offer additional things. I mentioned our live capability. We could have a special once in a lifetime live session with the artist, live holographic session. That's something that we could give as well. The artist can add all kinds of community aspects they feel just like they can to any other NFT.
Welcome in, Genzo. Hey, Sassy, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in and say, obviously it's per artist who wants to offer something. Like, the cool thing about Poppins is that they have some artists who are just getting into Web3 and are learning about it through Poppins. And for me, I was already in Web3 when Christina reached out. For me specifically, for my current line of NFTs, I just finished writing like a 90-page script for a musical. That's meant for stage, and I have actually been workshopping it for the past 18 to 20 months. I just did my final workshop of it in LA a couple weeks ago, and I had a whole cast, a crew, and everything like that. So everybody who currently buys this, 10% of that will go towards the musical, but then also anything that has to do with the musical, like early readings and things like that, they'll have access to being a part of the beginnings of this experience, what I call the Sassy Black universe. So that's what's going on with my NFT personally. But I think it also depends artist to artist,
Oh, of course. I love the community aspect. That's amazing.
Thank you. And I want to say hi to Genzo. And
Hey,
we actually got
Joe,
to meet for the
Sassy,
first time in
Dirty. I
a
know.
couple of weeks ago.
Actually,
So
I
that was
met
dope.
all of you, Christina. We all met IRL in Seattle. But it is crazy, Sassy, that it took a conference in Seattle for us to finally meet in person after we've been talking for so long, and after we actually lived in the same city together for so long. And you had to leave and then come back for a conference. But anyway, good to see everyone. Oh, and you know what? We're totally on the same wavelength too, because I just went to Boston as part of a launch of a stage play that I just composed all the music for. I didn't write the whole thing like you did. I did not write a 90-page script. That's really impressive. But I'm also in that stage world these days.
That's awesome. Welcome. Glad that everybody can meet. Yeah, I got to meet quite a few of you, Genzo and Token Square was at Seattle as well. So it was a good event. I enjoyed it. It was my first networking experience, so it was fun to see all of you guys there. I think I will definitely go back next year. So I'll open it up right now. Is there something that anybody wants to ask of pop-ins, or is there something, Brian, then maybe I forgot, or Christina, is there something you want to add? Token Square, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Hey, it's Kelly.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question about how would you use this for, let's say, a fashion show, or how would you use this for a club owner? So how would a club owner that's going to have these artists come, how would they incorporate this? What's some ideas?
Great questions. So let me take the club owner thing first. Um, so we've been talking about kind of full song performances, but there are also ways to create promotional content. Hey, the artist could, hey, come see me next Thursday. I'm going to be performing here. And they pop up as a hologram, or something more generic that talks about them, or something about the club specifically. And then, and I think actually, Sassy, we did a couple of these. We haven't released them, but we played around with some of these things while she was in studio. And those can live independent of the performance itself. Same kind of thing. They can be shared. They'll have their own unique shareable link, that can be accessed through a QR code or through any kind of flyer, or if there's an email blast or anything that the club puts out before someone's coming, they just attach the link, and it gives a kind of a novel way to stand out when we're all getting bombarded by a little too much stuff. So those are some ideas that we have, but we don't know what we don't know. So what do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm just thinking through all of the different angles of this, but I also, with the fashion idea, is if you would have a fashion show where you could, or attach it to the clothing somehow, where you can have that, be able to promote your brand. My
Yeah,
mind's just thinking, yeah.
I love it. So yeah, so there's also all kinds of things that kind of fall into the category of quote unquote content, and there are things that fall into promotion. I'll give you an example of something in the fashion space that our technical partner did with Nike about 2 years ago. They decided it would be cool to see, for you as a potential buyer, to be able to see outfits that align with your body type, whatever your body type might be. So they had, I'm going to make up the number, I could be wrong. They had about 20 different models of different body types come in, and wear the same outfits. And I don't remember how many outfits they did. Let's just say 10 for this example. And then ran a promotion where you could go to the Nike site, want to look at these. Let's say there were pants of some kind, and you look at it, and then you select the body type that you are most interested in seeing. Then you bring it up as a hologram. The hologram gave you the advantage to see it from any angle, see it close, see it far away. It's as if the model is there standing in your living room, and then you can see them from any angle. And they thought that was an interesting way to bring choice and better information to potential buyers.
That's really cool. So that, could you see like the texture of the fabric too, and how close, and how would that look?
Well, you could see the best answer to that might be pull up one of our pop-ins when you have time and just look at it,
Okay.
and assume that the quality would be similar.
Okay.
Like anything, if you get too close, it's going to start to look a little glitchy. There's going to be an angle where somehow the camera didn't weave together perfectly for every shot. It's all new technology. I We're proud of it, so I think for the most part it's very good stuff. But you can make that assessment on your own. Let us know what you think.
All right. Thanks.
Let's see, Christina, you had your hand up first, and then Derby, I see your hand up as well.
Cool. I was just going to add two things. In the club scenario, one thing we've done is kind of meet and greets, VIP meet and greets that are virtual. So we have a hologram. We did this at a concert last year, and again, sort of at NFT Seattle. The artist can be pulled up and stand next to the audience, and they can take that little video or photo with them and share it. And on the merch side, one thing we've done is tested having an artist add a piece of their a band T-shirt, and that's something that QR code at the merch table or on concert tickets or from home, so people that really see from all angles what that looked like before buying it. Those are two ideas that we have.
You're breaking up a little bit there, but I think we got most of that. Did anybody not catch that? Okay.
And that was my partner, Christina, if anyone didn't get that. She was talking about different ways to use it. T-shirts, having the artists appear in T-shirts that are available as merch and be their own kind of models that are all accessible from a merch table just with a simple QR code. That's a cool thing. And then particularly in live that we talked about earlier, but you can do it with on-demand, doing meet and greets, either as promotion or as separately monetizable, the way a lot of artists do. Again, those are up to what the artist wants to do.
Awesome. Derby, one, you had your hand up there a second ago.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming in this morning. I appreciate your time. I was wondering, like, for a performance, we were talking about musicals earlier, but could you do more than just one person in a hologram? So could it be like a band or, even like a two-person like stage play or something like that?
The answer is yes, but with all these things, you can layer things and make them more complicated. We can do some stuff with multiple people, but it starts to get really hard. But ask us again in 9 months or 15 months or 6 months or whatever, and we will have probably conquered that hill, and then we'll move on to the next one. It's an evolving technology.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Yeah, it seems like something you might be able to, film them separately, like the bass, the guitarist, or whatever, and then stitch it together later or something like that with 3 NFTs in one or something.
Yeah, all that stuff can be done. It takes the budget up a little bit. It makes things harder. It actually, because your phone is the ultimate meter on how much content you can get at a time. It can actually, when you try to spread that quality over too many items, it can make them all drop in quality. So, like everything in life, there are trade-offs. But that's definitely where the technology will go. Another place we haven't talked about, if I can just pivot just a little bit since we're almost out of time, is these are 3D assets, and we've talked about this AR experience. But once they're created, they're future-proofed. And there's no reason they couldn't be available in any digital environment, from a Fortnite Roblox game to a sandbox or anything like that. So, one of our big opportunities we see down the road is, it was awesome to see Travis Scott and see others in Fortnite, but they were cartoons. They were avatars. Part of our belief, and we could be wrong about this, but part of our belief is, while I might want to be an avatar in the metaverse because I have a different persona and I want to kind of be something different, our artists, the artists that we love, we kind of want them to be them. And so we think photorealism over time will be a big part of those destinations. And so we think that by creating this kind of content, there's a lot of work to be done. You can't do it now. We have to work with every platform individually, but that just takes time. But the idea that there can be concerts that people attend truly in the metaverse, in these destinations, we think that's an enormous opportunity down the road.
No, that is a great perspective to have on that. I know we're running out of time and I don't want to keep you too long, but I had one last question that kind of reminded me of that we had talked on the side about was, I had asked you what blockchain you use, and you basically said, well, all of them, because it's up to the artist. I don't know. Do you want to
Yeah,
expand on that just a sec? Because I know a lot of people that listen sometimes are Web3 people or crypto people, and they'd be curious to know, how you stand on that real quick.
yeah, it's interesting. What we've done so far with NFTs is to add this attribution to the individual experience, right? It's Joe buys one, Tom buys one, Sally buys one, and we have their individual name and logo on the AR. That actually happens outside of the blockchain. That all happens within our company. We have our own databases, and we assign that content ID number to owner ID number, and that pairs. What that does is it gives the ability to be, as you said, agnostic when it comes to all the other aspects of the blockchain world. So we're just kind of living beside blockchain in a lot of ways in that sense.
No, I think for what you're doing, that seems like a perfectly acceptable solution.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah.
the technical thing purchased through the NFT is either a JPEG or an MP4 or some 2D version of the experience, at least the way we've been doing it thus far. And again, this 3D attribution lives beside the blockchain. We get automatic updates when a transaction occurs. We look at it. Dave sold it to Joe, so we go in. Okay, update the information for Joe. Takes about a minute and a half to do it, and from that point on, any uses start popping up with the new owner instead of the old owner.
Well, and as blockchain progresses, this may be something you could take your data and put it on a blockchain.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Awesome. So I've enjoyed this conversation. I think we touched on a lot of great stuff. I don't want to keep you past the hour. We got about 5 minutes. I'll leave it open. Anybody? Last comments, questions, concerns? Nobody?
Well, I just wanted to thank Christina for moderating the panel that I was on. That was actually the first panel I've ever been on, and it was an incredible warm up for the next week because I had to sit on a panel at Berkeley School of Music 2 days later, and then I had to speak at the reception before the show, and I had no idea that was going to happen, and I had to speak after Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who is rather good at speaking, so I was sort of freaking out, but I feel like your handling of us on the panel at least gave me a little more practice, and I was a little more relaxed than I would have been. But anyway, it was great to meet you guys.
You were great, by the way.
Thanks. I don't know about
And
that,
thank you.
but thank you.
So if there are any artists that would be interested in producing a pop-ins with us, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to Christina, myself, or we have a catch-all. You can just drop a note to info@popins, and we'll talk about the opportunity and see if it's a win-win. And we just want to keep experimenting and playing and pushing the envelope here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brian, Sassy, Genzo, Altered, Token Square, Christina, and everyone, the ones that are still here, for making it all the way through. I think it was a great show. I enjoyed the conversation immensely, and I look forward to checking out your project, and I'll keep an eye on you from the future. So, best of luck, everyone, and have a great day.